Why, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Truly Odd podcast, where we bring you the latest in game news and movie news. I am your host, Joe Garcia. So grab your controllers, get your popcorn, and let's go ahead and dive right on in, shall we? I do have a bit of a throat issue today, so I have some Ricola, so hopefully we can get through this without me clearing my throat too much. But that being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump into our first game news topic. And our first game news topic of the day is regarding Silent Hill F surpassing 1 million units sold in 4 days. This comes to us from Game Informer. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Silent Hill F crosses 1 million units sold across all platforms in 4 days since its September 5th launch. The game holds an 86% on Metacritic, marking its first mainline entry in over a decade. The game is set in 1960s Japan village, where the protagonist Hinako battles a mysterious fog. Excuse me, guys. The following this follows the success of Silent Hill 2 remake. Konami is currently developing a Silent Hill 1 remake, a mysterious Silent Hill town hall, and an upcoming film for the Silent Hill franchise as well, called Return to Silent Hill. If you guys didn't know, so that's an extra little topic for you guys today. But I think it's phenomenal that Silent Hill F has done such a success. There's getting a lot of reviews. We currently have it here at home. My lady beat the game in like 3 days. I think she beat it in like 9 hours or give or take. So, but from my understanding, there's a couple different endings. So she might have to play it again, or I might have to play it to see if I get a different ending than she did to see what different decisions we ended up making. But congratulations to them. This just lets us know that we're going to be getting more Silent Hill. We'll probably get a sequel to this at some point, seeing how successful it ended up being. And the game is very, very creepy. From the time I got to play it, those little dolls throughout the levels is just terrifying. I actually had to walk away and stop playing because I got creeped out myself. But let me know what you guys think of the success of Silent Hill F making selling 1 million units in its first 4 days. All right, guys. That being said, let's go ahead and move on to our next game news topic of the day. And our next game news topic of the day is regarding Resident Evil Requiem. Devs say that they can't tell if the game is scary anymore, which makes a lot of sense. Let's go ahead and break this down for you guys. This comes to us from IGN. Again, I'll have all these articles in the description down below if you guys want to check them out for yourself and read some of the details. But I'll break it down for you guys. Director Koshi Nakanishi, forgive me if I'm pronouncing his name right, confirms Resident Evil Requiem initial pivot away from action-heavy style like Village, emphasizing on tone closer to Resident Evil 2 to avoid action inflation, meaning too much action going on all at once. That's kind of how that translated for them. But some of the devs said after years of developing horror games, the team admits they have become desensitized to its own scares, relying on audience reactions to guide what's truly frightening. And this has kind of set the tone for certain type of scares, which makes a lot of sense. You know, if you've been working on a game or you've been working on a movie, whether it's a horror movie or a horror game, or even like something like Call of Duty, like I worked on the Call of Duty games, and you kind of just get over it after a while. You know, you're playing it on a daily basis, you get desensitized to the horror, to the violence, to whatever it may be. So it makes a lot of sense that these developers who've been working on Silent Hill, Biohazard, sorry, Resident Evil Biohazard to Resident Evil Village, and now Resident Evil Requiem, and who knows how many other games or any DLC in between. It makes sense that they're desensitized to the whole or horror aspect of it. But I think it's cool to for them to bring in audiences to see their reactions so they can know where to lean the horror aspect of the game to be more gory, to be more popping out horror, or to have more emphasis on what's going on in the story. I think this is very beneficial for the team. Excuse me, guys. I'm getting messages here. Let me put my phone on mute. But yeah, I think this is awesome that they ended up doing this, and I do think it's interesting that even a game like this could really desensitize you. I'm sure if I played it constantly, I wouldn't be as scared as I typically am when I play horror games. But let me know what you guys think of this in the comments down below. Would you guys get desensitized to horror stuff like this, or would you be constantly frightened? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All right, guys, that being said, let's move on to our next game news topic of the day. And our next game news topic is regarding Pragmata. Director reveals why the game has been delayed so many times. This comes to us from Game Rant. So, if you don't know what Pragmata is, it's this game right here with the robots and the shooter. They've kind of been delayed for quite some time. I think this was originally announced back in 2020 2020, I think. So it's been about 5 years of delays, if not more. Not even, I don't even think that's including its mainline development. But let's go ahead and take a look here. Director Cho Young Hee confirms that Pragmata repeated delays stem from difficulty balancing its dual combat mechanics. Hughes shooting, Hughes being this gentleman right here, and Diana's hacking, which is her right here. Uh, excuse me. Despite the with Hughes shooting and Diana's hacking, despite the core concept remaining unchanged since 2020. While initial announcement during the PlayStation, oh sorry, while initial announced during the PlayStation 5 reveal event, the team believes that early trailers helped sustain momentum and fan interest, uh, motivating continued development through uncertainty. This game was also showcased in the Tokyo Showcase 2025. Pragmata's latest trailer showcases puzzle enhanced gameplay and their dual combat mechanics. Forgive me, guys, I kind of mumbled through that because my dyslexia kicked in pretty fucking hard. It happens from time to time. But I do think that what they have worked on as far as the dual mechanics have been actually very beneficial for a game like this. If you have seen the trailers, and again, I'll have everything in the description down below if you want to take a look at it for yourself. Having the ability to not only hack these enemies but shoot them at the same time is an interesting feature, and they really had to get that right, especially if that's something that they were advertising. So it makes sense that they had to delay the game to make sure they got that feature down packed and perfect for the main storyline of this. So I'm very curious as to what gameplay mechanics will be shown and what is going to be new compared to other games. You know, we've had games like Watch Dogs where you can hack and shoot at the same time and stuff like that, or simultaneously, or while you're driving. So I'm very curious how this will differentiate from those games, and if the time spent on delaying the game was worth the changes. We'll have to wait and see. But let me know what you guys think of this in the comments down below. Do you think that it was good that they delayed the game for this long so they could make those changes, or would you have just kind of forced the game out? Let me know what you think. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our next game news topic of the day. And our next game news topic is regarding Danny Hauser confirmed no involvement in Grand Theft Auto 6's story. If you don't know who this gentleman is, he's here in our opening on the left hand side. He has been the writer for a lot of your favorite Call of Duty, or not Call of Duty, sorry, Grand Theft Auto games. So that's just so you guys know what's going on here. He seems to have no involvement with what's going on in Grand Theft Auto 6. Rockstar's co-founder Don Hauser reveals he had no role in writing Grand Theft Auto 6, stating the franchise has had enough Grand Theft Auto from him after penning at least 10 to 11 entries. Despite his absence, Hauser expresses optimism from Grand Theft Auto 6's quality and storytelling, acknowledging it feels strange to play a game that he didn't help shape. Hauser now leads Absurd Ventures, developing a AAA sci-fi game with Smilegate, and preparing to release a graphic novel called American Caper this November. So he's currently working on a bunch of different other things, but I do think it's interesting that the main guy who's been kind of not maybe not behind all the initial stories, but doing a lot of the mainline stories for Grand Theft Auto has no input into Grand Theft Auto 6. So if you guys have liked the stories from Grand Theft Auto 5 and beyond, he's worked on 10 projects. So I'm sure that that's quite a bit of Grand Theft Auto that we all know and love and enjoy. So to know that he has no involvement kind of interests me. So I'm curious where the story is going to go without him, and I'm kind of curious how it's going to develop without him as well. You know, having leads like this that not only are part of the storytelling, but also the big producer, and also I believe they said he was the co-founder of the studio, so he had major input on what's happening in the game. When people like this tend to leave and someone else comes in, could be a lot of changes in between games. So I'm very curious how this game will differentiate between Grand Theft Auto 5, if the storytelling may be even better, or if it will maybe even worse. So I'm very curious what will happen. And I also think not only did he work on Grand Theft Autos, but he also worked on the Red Dead Redemption game. So he's had a very, very successful career, and he's done awesome work. So I thank him for his work in all the games I grew up playing, probably. So hopefully we get to see his new sci-fi game, and hopefully it's something absolutely wonderful. We'll have to keep an eye out for what that game's going to be. But I'm very curious how Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to turn out without his input. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you wish Dan Houser was a part of this so we can continue his storytelling and his input, or do you prefer him to step away, and are you more interested in seeing where the story goes without him? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All right, guys, all that being said, let's move on to our last game news topic of the day. And our last game news topic of the day is regarding Sony is still celebrating their 30th anniversary with the latest limited edition sneaker and collector's photo book drop and announced. Let's go ahead and take a look here and see what these things are. Sony has announced a PlayStation the first 30 years, a 400-page photography book set to release in spring 2026, alongside PS1 themed sneakers launched in mid-October in collaboration with Reebok. So here is that 30th anniversary book right here. I do think it looks awesome with the classic PlayStation gray. And if you can see, this is where the disc drive was, and here's your open button, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while, but I think I remember. And here are some of the photos from the PlayStation. I think these were pre-designed concept arts of what the controllers were going to look like. If I'm not mistaken, if these are like futuristic controllers that they want to bring, I'm kind of interested in a few of them. So very interesting artwork that they got here. But the big thing I'm sure everyone's interested in are these sneakers right here. So let's go ahead and break down what these sneakers are. 3 regional sneakers models will be available. Pump Omni? Oh, I don't know. Anyways, Pump Omni Zone 2 for the US, Insta Pump Fury 94 for Japan, and Workout Plus for the UK. Each style in the PlayStation 1 iconic gray with colorful PlayStation motifs. Following the sold out PS5 30th anniversary consoles, Sony's new collaboration deepens nostalgia for longtime fans, while recent state of play and highlighting Wolverine and Saros keeps momentum strong for console players. So yeah, guys, take a look at these sneakers. These pretty interesting. I think these look pretty fun and pretty interesting. For me, I'm a plain Jane kind of person, so these ones right here, too flashy for me, honestly. I'm more interested in this top one or this side one that looks pretty plain to me. So my brother's a big Adidas guy, so he probably won't end up getting these, but I think these shoes look really, really cool. And sometimes I just want to buy dumb things I don't need, and this is one of those dumb things I don't need. As far as the photo book, I'm not sure if I'd be interested in getting it. I'd probably have to see what more options they have to offer besides some of these art. I would like to see what other art is involved regarding this, but I do think it's pretty cool. And maybe be a collector's little item that you put up with your consoles. I have a bunch of, can't see them right here, but right above me, there's all the PlayStations that I own that I got to reorganize at some point here in this office. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I thought they were done celebrating their 30th anniversary with the release of their consoles and their controllers. As you can see, I got a controller right back here. Oh wait, no, that's the 20th. This is the Wait, is that the 30th or 25th? It's gonna bother me now. Anyways, I got them right there. So I am a bit of a collector. But that being said, guys, would you guys be interested in purchasing any of this? And which shoe or which item stands out to you the most? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All right, guys, that does it for our game news topics of the day. Let's go ahead and move on to our movie news topic. And our first movie news topic is regarding Superman on HBO Max has surpassed 30 million views in just 10 days. Let's go ahead and take a look at this article here. Superman drew 13 million views in its first 10 days on HBO Max, marking the platform's biggest movie debut since Barbie in 2023. The film release sparks renewed interest in the past Superman titles, with Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, surging 670%, and other legacy films seeing a triple digital viewership spikes. After grossing over 600 million theatrically, Gunn's reboot earns an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, praised for its emotional depth and layered storytelling. Now, I'm very curious with that 670% rise on Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. I'm curious if those are actual full watch throughs or if people clicked on it and that's kind of what they're showcasing, because I'm sure a lot of people accidentally clicked on the Christopher Reeve, maybe looking to watch the original Christopher Reeve's movie, or clicked on it looking to watch this new Superman movie. So it's hard to say what they're actually showing because we don't know if people actually watch the full length version of that documentary. And if you haven't seen Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, I highly recommend you guys do. It's a very good documentary. There's some interesting stories there and a lot of things you probably didn't know about Christopher Reeves. Like a fun fact that him and Rob Williams were best friends. I did not know that before that documentary. So that's just a great example for that. So I'm not sure what happened there, but as far as 13 million views, I think that's awesome for a film like this. I'm sure that they're celebrating big over there. But I think one thing that it's kind of not being talked about when it comes to 13 million views on HBO Max. Let's say that these are full watch throughs, all right? And let's say that half of them are people that didn't go and watch it in the theaters. See what I'm getting at? So let's just say half. Let's say six. We'll go less than half. We'll go 6 million. So we'll say 6 million people that didn't watch Superman in theaters, and not to mention this is 6 million views probably per household. So that doesn't mention anyone else watching it with somebody. If I sat here, and actually I showed it to my aunt. That's actually a very good example. I showed it to my Theodora where we sat down and we watched the movie, me, her, and a couple other people. So that's 4 views right there in theaters. So let's say that the average ticket price right now is $12 I think. Let's just call it $10, just so we can keep the numbers simple. So let's just say 6 million people watch that at $10 a piece for ticket sales. They missed out on $60 million at the box office just on that numbers alone. And mind you, that's not people going to see it in IMAX. That's not people taking other people to go see it with them. That's just an example. And I think the strategy of releasing movies to streaming so quickly is a detriment to what the movie could have earned in total. And I think people are getting used to this. I mean, even me, I wanted to go see The Long Walk, but at this point, I'm like, hey, I'll just wait for it to come out on streaming. It'll be out soon. And it's having the thought process like that people have that will kill the theater industry. But that's just a side note and one of the main things that I'm worried about when it comes to theatrical releases. But besides that, the success of Superman can't be untold. Can't be um, tossed aside. You have to acknowledge it. And even though there are people that out there that are uh, Man of Steel fans and are Zack Snyder fans, they have to see what James Gunn's doing, and hopefully this means Supergirl will be a big success. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie news topic of the day. And our next movie news topic of the day is regarding Roger Corman's classics. Coleman's cult classics are getting a remake treatment from Clever Creature. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Clever Creatures, via Fast Motion Films, has obtained Hunting from 1992, The Terror Within from 1989, and Battle Queen 2020 from 2001. Excuse me, guys. For modern remake finalized at the Toronto Film Festival. Each film will release in both traditional 2D theatrical formats and immersive media experiences, blending gothic horror, post apocalyptic survival, and sci fi uh, rebellion themes. So my curiosity when it comes to not only them coming out with 2D theatrical releases, but immersive media experiences, I wonder if they're talking about the Sphere, which would make a lot of sense and would be very interesting to see a horror movie go on in the Sphere. I'm not sure if they're talking about VR experiences or anything else of that sort, maybe video games, but my biggest thing right now is the Sphere because of what's going on with Wizard of Oz. I would think it would be very interesting to have a horror movie kind of hit that theater. I think that would be even extra terrifying and very interesting to be kind of isolated in that horror type of environment, especially with everything going on for something like what the Sphere has to offer. But that being said, guys, the remake aims to honor a bold spirit of Roger and Julie Corman while introducing elevated production values and fresh creative voices for contemporary audiences. Now, I'm very curious. Have you guys ever heard of these three projects? I personally have never heard of them. I think I heard of this Jack Nicholson one. At least this one looks familiar. As far as the other two, I don't think I've heard of them or have no idea what they are. But I'd be very interesting. I know Roger Corman's a big name in the industry, or he was a big name in the industry. So I'm very curious what projects these will end up being. So I have to keep an eye out for them. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below of Roger Corman's cult classics getting remakes, and are you interested in checking them out? And what do you guys think that they're talking about when they mention immersive multimedia experiences? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All right, guys, go ahead and move on to our next movie news topic. And our next movie news topic is regarding a new Simpsons movie is set for 2027 release. Let's go ahead and take a look here at this article from The Hollywood Reporter. Looks like Disney has announced a new Simpsons movie set for theatrical release on July 23rd, 2027, marking the franchise's first film since the 2007 box office success. 20th Century Studios revealed the news with an Instagram post of Homer grabbing a sparkling covered donut in the shape of a two. I think they have that image here in this article down below. Uh, there we go, with sprinkles in the shape of two right here. Captioned, Homer's coming back for seconds. I think this is a really cool image here. And it's really cool, and it's really cool to see like artists and what they can do with images like this. And I love it when something like this is just done to advertise films. It's very fun and entertaining in my opinion. Where was I? A Simpsons. As Simpsons enters their 37th season, the original voice cast returns for the sequel, continuing the legacy of one of the television's longest running, most iconic animated series. So yeah, guys, it looks like we are definitely going to get a Simpsons 2, which I'm very curious how that's going to turn out. The reason we haven't seen the Simpsons 2 in so long is because, if I'm not mistaken, the studio behind the Simpsons had a very difficult time balancing doing the show and coming out the movie at the same time. So I'm very curious how they're going to end up pulling this off, if they're going to have to bring in more staff or another team to take a look. But I'm very curious how this is going to turn out. And are you guys interested in another Simpsons movie? And are you excited to see a Simpsons 2 hit theaters? And also, do you think they're going to connect it to the original film, or do you think they're going to tell their own story? I'm curious to know what you guys think. That being said, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie news topic. And I kind of want to give a little bit of, not a warning, but a little bit of a asterisk here. This is not a political show, but when political things happen regarding the film and video game industry, we kind of bring them up and talk about it. So whatever your political affiliation is, just hear out what what the story is and what's going on. Okay, guys. Anyways, that being said, let's go ahead and take a look here regarding President Trump renews threats for 100% tariffs on films made outside the U.S. Uh, President Trump, hold on one second, I lost my place. There it is. Anyways, President Trump retreaded plans to impose 100% tariffs on the film produced outside of the U.S., citing foreign productions as a threat to the domestic movie industry, and blaming California's leadership for its decline. Uh, the proposed the proposal raises questions about implementation and scope, especially as many films like The Odyssey blend international shoots with U.S. based production work. Trump remarks regen- hold on, wait. I don't know if I want to mention. Anyways, Trump's remarks sparked another feud with California Gavin Newsom's, who has been expanding state film tax incentives while mocking Trump's re, uh, rhetoric. Jesus, can't read. Rhetoric on social media. Anyways, guys, so essentially, what Trump wants to do is he wants to put 100% tariffs on foreign films, but there's a lot of questions behind this. Is it foreign films like, for example, uh, oh my god, what is it? The animated one that just came out, Demon Slayer, Infinity Castle, where that was more of a Japanese production, and then they brought that to the U.S. Would there be 100% tariffs on that? Would it be studios like, for example, a studio in Hollywood that's going to be shooting in a foreign country to get the desert, to get the land, to get whatever? Is that going to be 100% tariffed during production or after production? So there's a lot of questions behind of what's going on with with implementing tariffs regarding the films being shot outside the U.S. But I think this is more of not a scare tactic, but a way to get people to want to bring productions here into the U.S. Now, mind you, California's been a big problem lately as far as for the film industry. A lot of the film industry has moved out of California to not Anaheim. What state am I thinking about? Atlanta. Most of the Marvel movies have been done in Atlanta, and now a lot of the Marvel movies are moving outside over to the UK, where they're shooting Spider-Man currently. Now, Spider-Man is very known for being a New York superhero, and now they're shooting in London and away from the US where it's more affordable. And that's really sad to say that we're at a point now in the film industry where it's cheaper to fly your staff and your crew to another country and film there. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that this is the case for all films. Most films, sometimes they want to tell stories in certain locations and you need those locations to film. But a lot of stories that are set in New York, that are set in LA, that are set in these countries are being filmed in Canada and everywhere else besides the United States because of how expensive it is to film here. And that just says a lot. So I think that while Trump's tariffs have not necessarily been the best implementation, they are very beneficial for us as US citizens if you are a US citizen. And also, what he's trying to do is bring production back here, back home, at which Gavin Newsom should have been the one to do that since he's the governor of California. Now, mind you, this is all political mumbo jumbo. You can believe what you want, but the truth of the matter is that California has lost a lot of the film industry. And while, yes, a lot of companies have their main hubs here because it's hard to move an entire studio production, an entire base that you've set in Hollywood to another state, a lot of people are moving their productions out of state and out of California. And Hollywood is the place to be and the place to go if you want to make movies, but that is no longer being the case currently. And hopefully, with this, if that's the goal, we can bring production back to the United States and get these movies up and going filmed here because a lot of movies set in the desert, a lot of movies set in the forest, a lot of movies set wherever you want to name. The United States has all those different locations and they're not being utilized. But we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening. But hopefully, this can get to a point where we're able to do all productions worldwide with no issues, all equally right here in California, in Canada, in Mexico, wherever you need to film, because that is the eventual goal to be able to get our stories told and a lot of stories told, regardless of location and shooting. But let me know what you guys think of this in the comments down below. Do you think these tariffs will benefit the film industry, bringing everything home here for production and U.S. citizens? Or do you think that these are ridiculous and shouldn't be done at all? I'm curious to know what you guys think. All right, guys, that being said, let's go ahead and move over to our next movie news topic and our last movie news topic of the day, actually. So, our last movie news topic of the day is it looks like a new Friday the 13th movie is rumored, teasing a huge change for Jason Voorhees. Now, I don't think this is necessarily a rumor. I think more of the rumor is the big changes for Jason Voorhees. But let's go ahead and take a look here. It looks like, hold on, I think we had a teaser image. Not that one right here. That's the teaser image we're seeing. But after 16 years of legal limbo, rights holders have cleared a path for a new Friday the 13th film with fresh development confirmed and a teaser released earlier this summer. WWE star Adam Skeer, I think I'm pronouncing his name wrong, revealed he's in talks to play Jason Voorhees, which would make him the tallest actor to ever portray the iconic slasher at 6'8". Nicotero, Greg Nicotero, I think that's how I pronounce his name, redesigned Jason with and will detach the undead aesthetic uh, in favor of a Part 3 inspired version, ensuring that the hockey mask remains centered to the killer's identity. So it looks like they're trying to step away from the zombified aspect of Jason and make him more of a Michael Myers esque character where he's an actual slasher killer, which I think is a bit of a mistake. I think Jason needs to have slightly supernatural esque abilities or survival rate. I know Michael Myers tends to be one of those, but in truth, Jason was a lot more of that aspect. He just refused to die because of how zombified he was. So I'm curious how they're gonna emphasize on that aspect, because in his original story, if I'm not mistaken, the original Friday the 13th, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, is about his mother, and then part two, he comes back alive after being drowned to get revenge. So there's a very interesting story through line. Now I haven't seen these movies in years, so I'm probably getting it a little wrong, but I do think having a zombified aspect and a kind of undead aspect of Jason is needed for a story like this. Now this isn't Jason X or anything like that where he needs to go in space or anything, but however, I would love a Jason X remake if you ask me. But I'd be very interested in where they're going to go with this story. Now, this has been in legal hell for quite some time, so it'd be interesting to see how they're going to return to this franchise. I know they're currently working on a TV show about Crystal Lake, I think, and I think that has to do with Jason's mom. But I'm just curious how this story is going to end up turning out in general. But what do you guys think? Are you excited for another Friday the 13th movie? I personally would like them to start from the beginning, have a Friday the 13th be his mom, and then move the franchise along from there. I think that'd be a great way to go. Have it be low budget, kind of like the original. I just think they need to reset the entire thing, introduce Jason in the second or third movie. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. How would you guys handle Friday the 13th? And would you like to see him with the undead aspect taken away? I'm very curious to know what you guys think. All right, guys, and that does it for today's episode of the Truly Odd Podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. And always, guys, remember, stay true, be odd.